Welcome to Niners Talk with John, Tim, and Brian. Let's talk Niners.
And Filipino's wide open and down to the 45.
Let me ask you something. Hey, Coach, go ahead. How can 6 of you miss a play like that, huh?
Hey everybody, welcome to Niners Talk. I'm John. Joined my brother, by my brother Tim.
There's so much news today, you can't even formulate a sentence.
Yes, except that I have my brother from another mother, Brian.
What's up, people?
As well. All right. Well, coming live on the day that Trey Lance was named QB3. So we'll just start with how we feeling, Brian. How we feeling about Trey Lance, or just dealing in general? It is what it is. Tim, how are you feeling?
I really was looking forward to asking you about the San Francisco Giants-Phillies game you attended last night at Citizens Bank Park, because after the Giants blew the game, I thought you'd be in a bad mood. But you seem to be on the mend. But since we had more interesting news take the priority, let's talk about Trey Lance. I can't say I'm surprised. Like Brian, I was a fan of Trey Lance. I really wanted to see what he could do. However, the last 2 weeks, I think, have shown that Darnold is just simply performing better in games. And after 3 years, Trey Lance's third year, I think they wanted him to make some progress. And that's not to say that that's all on Trey Lance. Unfortunately, he has had injuries. He had the broken pinky in his rookie year. We know about the ankle break last year. But the key difference between the two quarterbacks is that Darnold he's had the reps. He's had the reps in college and he's had the reps in the NFL. And that's something that Trey Lance has not had. And I think we saw that in the comfort level that Trey Lance did not have against the Raiders, and Darnold did. And I think what was really telling is going back and watching the Broncos game this past week. When Sam Darnold took the field in the third quarter, all of us were expecting Trey Lance, and Darnold stays out there. I want to say 2, perhaps 3. I can't remember for certain. But he took those first couple of series in the second half, and that was eye-opening for me. So Kyle Shanahan has clearly made a choice that he believes that Darnold, as the number 2, gives the 49ers the best chance of success. And it's going to be, the Niners we're going to have to see what the Niners are going to do with Trey Lance. But obviously, John, we want to get your thoughts there as well.
Yeah, when they first drafted him, was very interested in seeing what he could possibly do. He was very much an unknown. We all knew he's an amazing athlete, but, big arm, lots of legs, could be like Cap 2.0 after Alex Smith, but he just never really seemed to be the guy. And what I would say, though, is that being QB3 on the Niners is not exactly a bad deal. Last year, Brock Purdy was QB3 at the beginning of the season, and now he's the guy.
It's true.
It could very easily be that Trey Lance finds himself in a game situation come December.
And
so
you're absolutely right.
I think the 49ers, given their quarterback history last year, they'd take 6 quarterbacks if you could give them to them.
Yeah.
But,
So my advice to Trey Lance is stay hungry, stay ready. You never know when your opportunity is going to hit, and see what happens. They're not going to cut him. That would be silly. But I don't know if they'll get another trade offer for him, given his contract and lack of experience. So for the Niners, it's like, we'll just ride out this investment as long as possible. But I do feel sorry for him. As a former athlete, I know what it's like to be drawn in the office and say, hey, it's not your time. But I do also know that he may get another opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's what he's hope for.
Yeah. I would say, like you, John, I think we were all rooting for Trey Lance, and there was I think the plan the 49ers went to, and I think they followed it very well, was okay, your rookie year, you're not going to play that much. You might get some situational reps, and we saw that a couple of times. And then year 2, it was Lance's team. And unfortunately, that was derailed in week 2. And here we are with Brock Purdy as the number 1, who came out of nowhere. But you know what? This is hindsight is always 2020 on why did you draft him, and if you hadn't run this play or that play. But you know what? This is sports, and we have seen high draft picks come out and not work out either through just they weren't a great fit, coaching staff wasn't right, or in this case in Trey Lance, it was injuries. Let me throw this to both of you guys. What are the 49ers? What are the 49ers going to do? I figure, given what came out of the 49ers camp today in Santa Clara was they're exploring all their options. Their options, as I see them, is, well, one, they release him outright and take a cap hit. Second is they field a trade offer. The third is they keep him on the roster. What do you guys think? What's going to happen here? No.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't see them cutting him. There's just no reason to.
Right.
The second would be trading him. But the only way I see them trading Trey Lance would be for another player. And it would be something where the Niners do not have the depth or they want to add or replace a position. So, for example, maybe the Colts say, hey, we need a quarterback. Here's Jonathan Taylor. Not likely.
No. No.
But that's the only thing. I don't see them doing it for draft capital because they won't get it. And drafts are so hit and miss anyways. You're just going to end up swinging for a fence. Right. And because they've already spent so much money on him and there's not that much left to go, it's like, just keep him on the roster because at the end of the day, Brock Purdy gets hurt. If Sam Darnold gets hurt, both have a history of injury. You have another guy who's already in the system that you can throw out there and hopefully he does well. Yeah. And, Trey did win a game in the NFL against the Cardinals.
That was the Texans.
Oh, the Texans. Sorry. So he's got game experience. To me, it's just like, why not keep him and see what happens?
Yeah. And there's not to say that this number 3 is absolutely set in stone. Obviously, we don't want Purdy to get hurt, but things do happen in the NFL. And it's not to say that Sam Darnold is going to come in and be lights out. So there could be a situation, not one that I'm advocating for, that Darnold comes in, he does perform, he performs poorly, and Lance is given an opportunity. All of that, of course, is a hypothetical, and again, not a situation that I think any 49ers fan is rooting for. But I think, like you, John, I see them keeping him on the roster unless a trade offer is made that the 49ers is to their liking. And we have seen some in the history of the NFL, we've seen some really strange trades. Not saying that's going to happen, but I think back to someone like Mike Ditka trading pretty much every draft pick for Ricky Williams. So stranger things have happened. And there is always a GM out there who, does something unique. I'll put it.
Don't forget that.
Maybe Trent Baalke will save us again.
Who will?
Trent Baalke's like, no, this Trevor Lawrence guy isn't that good. I'm going to trade all my first round picks for.
No, the problem there, John, is that Lance broke his ankle. He didn't tear his ACL. So Baalke's not interested. Absolutely. Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
So beyond that, I am actually not in a bad mood. I'm actually in a fairly good mood. I did go to see the Phillies play the Giants last night at Citizens Bank Park. Took my wife and 2 little girls. Got some great tickets from a friend of mine. And the Giants looked great until the ninth inning when Camilo Duvall gave up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to say, the most annoying part of that game was walking out and hearing all of the Philly fans go,
Now, why are they doing that during a baseball?
Because they're from Philly.
They do. Okay.
It makes no sense.
I'm pretty sure they did it at the Taylor Swift concert in Philly as well.
I have no doubt as well.
It's just,
I like Taylor Swift. She's an Eagles fan, but if she was there, the NFC Championship, like, Taylor, it's on. Niners going to win, baby. So beyond that, okay, we did have a football game.
We did.
That the Niners won.
Yes. 21-20.
Now, Tim.
Yes.
And Brian.
John.
How glorious was it to see Levi's again?
It was great.
It was wonderful. I always look forward to the first preseason game where, somebody on social media will post a picture of the field and you'll see the logos. You'll see the logo of the 50 and the wonderful saloon font in each of the end zones there. So it's always like you kind of come home a little bit. I think that's the way I put it.
So the nice thing was they didn't go back to that stupid helmet. They got the SF in the middle. But Tim, as you point out, they don't have,
instead of the helmet logo in the end zone, they went with the NFC logo and the NFL logo. So if you don't have enough to do in life and you keep track of these things, these are the things I compare field logos every year, how Levi's is going to look. But
you don't like the helmet? You want
No, what John is referring to was, it wasn't last year, it was 2021. They put the Niners helmet at the 50, but it was sort of at this very odd angle.
It was like cockeyed.
Yeah, so it looked kind of strange, but now they just got the big SF logo there. I think we're good. So I'm glad our listeners can listen to these kinds of analysis.
Yeah.
Well, the field last year looked, it was this shade of green, but now they've gone to more of a kind of a classic forest green or something. So anyway, we probably should move on.
But yeah, it was great seeing the field again. It was great just to see. Not a lot of people were there, but it was just great to see Levi's in terms of the home stadium. So the other big question that seems to be on, we know that Nick Bosa is in New York City. Now, I don't think Nick Bosa is in New York City to see Hamilton or the Statue of Liberty or something like that. Obviously everybody's jumped to conclusions, me included, that his agent is in New York City and they're doing the final negotiations with the Niners. But how are we feeling about Nick and his negotiations? Is going to be signed by week 1? Brian? Tim?
There has not been panic on either side, and we're not seeing anything like his Instagram being scrubbed or anything like that. And, Shanahan did come out and say he expected that it was going to be a long process, although he did say that he didn't expect it to be this long, and he's hopeful that he'll get him in camp sooner rather than later. But another thing I read, I think it was either David Lombardi who might have posted this on Twitter or Matt Barrows, but they said, with all the Trey Lance talk today, now would be the perfect time to sign Bosa, and that story just goes away because it's now Bosa's in camp.
So, like all of us, we have our iPhones, and depending on the network, your thing makes a sound. And anytime ESPN's I looked down like, what's the side? Top 10 offensive linemen in the NFL. Media wins, lost, Little League World Series. Our predictions for next year's draft. I'm like, God, can I just see Bosa entering final stages of negotiation Schefter? That's all I want to see.
The great thing about iPhones is you can turn the notifications off and you don't have to go through that drama and stress.
Yeah, but then I'll go through the drama and stress of you texting me and it'll be a Twitter feed. The only time you text me with a Twitter post is something really good or really bad.
This is very true.
You are breaking news. You are.
Or at least I try to get there at least 7 seconds ahead of you guys. So I will say that when Brian texted me today about the Trey Lance news, I immediately thought injury. So, I think it does come a little.
Yeah, Brian beat us to the punch.
He did.
Yes.
Well, I have a job.
Exact moment.
Okay.
So beyond, I also think Nick Bosa will be signed hopefully this week, and we can get that drama behind us because both sides want it. It's just a question of just getting it done. And Prague, we like you now. Don't make us dislike you like we did in the past.
Just get your Excel spreadsheet right.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so we did have a football game. Let's actually talk about that game.
Sure.
So Tim, first impressions against the Broncos?
Brock came out. Brock Purdy was out there for the first series, had a really nice drive. I think, the first couple of plays, we saw quintessential Kyle Shanahan play calling. A fake, Brock rolls out to his left, hits Debo. Debo rumbles down to about midfield with a couple of tackles. Ayuk had a nice slant. The only thing that didn't happen was a touchdown. But Jake Moody did come in. I know we're going to get to Moody shortly, but just good to see the starter in. And then I think we all breathed a collective sigh of relief when they started playing the starters. So that's my first impression, but let's go to you guys.
A lot better than they did, John.
Yeah. In a word for me, it was crisp. They just looked crisp.
Yeah.
Like they came out, boom to Debo, boom to Ayuk, boom to Debo. Yeah, it was really not 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but they just looked really crisp, getting the ball downfield. Would have been nice to put a touchdown in there, but I thought they looked great. Divas looked a little bit off. There's a few things that I saw where, with Russell Wilson, they literally gave Russell Wilson the entire middle of the field at one point. But honestly, they were missing a decent amount of guys on the D for the Denver game, and they looked okay on the D. But that doesn't prevent one of our favorite reporters and his dad from tweeting stuff out. So we got some more crazy tweets from the Cones, or good for a chuckle, or a head shake.
More
so
than
what did Tim and Lowell have to say?
Well, I think the first thing before I get to the tweet is that I'll go back to the other tweet. Are we allowed to say tweet? What are they doing on X now? I don't know what that's called. Is it tweet or am I an X? Am I Xing?
I have no idea.
Well, okay. Anyway,
worst rebrand ever.
Yeah, I agree. We'll have another show all about Elon Musk. I'm sure at some point we'll figure it out how he aligns to the Niners. But anyway, so Grant Cohn in the Raiders game had tweeted that the reason Trey Lance performed poorly rather was that Shanahan had called a whole bunch of pass plays, and that was designed to throw Lance off. I just happened to notice in the first series with Purdy, they happened to call a bunch of pass plays and things kind of worked out. So I'm just saying, if you call pass plays, I think just, the player you have in there versus the other kind of defense and what formation they're in and what formation you're in, motions and things like that, that tends to be more of how well you do. Anyway, so apparently Grant and his dad, Lowell Cohn, got into a bit of a tiff. And Grant Cohn said that he apologized to Trey Lance and to Grant Cohn. This is Lowell Cohn, said that Lance doesn't belong in the 49ers. Grant disagreed. Lance proved me wrong last night against the Broncos. I may discuss this further, but I'm getting cataract surgery. So maybe he won't be able to watch the Chargers game.
Not quite sure how he saw.
And I'm not sure.
I thought that was a joke.
No,
I mean,
wasn't. It's so funny.
I'm just, I understand you can disagree, but then I have cataract surgery. How much of the game did you see?
Tim, I've had Thanksgiving dinner with you for a long time.
Yes, we have.
I would trade Thanksgiving dinner to have Thanksgiving at the Cones just for once during the Seahawks game. What a shit show that must be.
Am I going to be there?
Sure. Because why not? Brian, I want you there too.
Thanks.
But what a shit. That just must be crazy land.
Let's get back to the game. Let's stop talking about these guys.
Anyway, so I'm going to start with people who stood out for me, and I'm going to go with the guy who jumped out on film, which was Ronnie Bell.
Ronnie Bell.
Oh yeah,
Ronnie Bell. I saw this great Instagram where it had this big boxer or Rottweiler It just said Debo, and they had this puppy Rottweiler boxer. It said Ronnie Bell. I'm like, that's perfect. Ronnie Bell's like mini Debo. Got out there, rookie, raw, still has some issues with catching the ball, but when that guy gets the ball and rumbles, oh, he is a monster.
He's got some fight.
Yeah, he looks good.
He is going to be a real nice fit into this team, and he has been on the offense, has been the guy that has jumped out on tape. And you're just like, that guy's making the team. He's just all dog. And it's exactly how the 49ers should be playing football.
He was a great late round pick.
I think Ronnie Bell really fits into just the Kyle Shanahan wide receiver profile. A guy that's going to, catch a ball and he's going to break tackles and he's going to punish the DBs while he's doing it. And we see that particularly with Debo, Ayuk to an extent, but that's what Shanahan was looking for from guys like a Dante Pettis and like a Jalen Hurd, both of whom are no longer with the team.
Yeah.
But I think what's striking to me about Bell is that, he has that fight in him. He has that ability to break tackles, but you look at the guy and you think he doesn't look that big. He doesn't look that, that physically imposing. I'm sure, if I stood next to him, he'd be very physically imposing. I wouldn't be talking like this, but he doesn't strike me as watching the game, but he has just got some in him that he's definitely going to, he's going to take it to those DBs, and he wants you to know if he's catching a ball and he's got 5 yards, he's going to try to get 8, and he's going to do it by trying to lay out. And that's exactly the kind of players Shanahan wants out there. And with the injuries, I mean, Danny Gray, we've got a shoulder injury there. We've also got Ray is out for the first few weeks. So he's definitely going to get some opportunities to play in the regular season.
Yeah, so to me, Ronnie Bell was the big standout. So, Tim, what about you? Who stood out for you?
Well, you already took Ronnie Bell. So I'm going to go back to D Winters. I just like this kid's speed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the fourth quarter. The Broncos are going for it on 4th down, and he forces a fumble. Niners are able to take over, and that put him in position to. I don't know if that was the game-winning drive that Lance put together, or at least get back into the game. So I like Winters. I don't know with the 49ers linebackers how much of opportunity we're going to get to see him, given who's in front of him, like Fred, like Trey. But maybe as a backup role, or potentially maybe on a practice squad. But I think this guy's got some speed, and he's certainly got some great football awareness. That's what we saw from Hufanga a couple of years ago. He just has a nose for where the ball's going to go, and he takes great angles.
So do you know who D Winters reminds me of?
I give
Aziz Al-Shire. Just kind of an unknown guy, and just Aziz was always really good at getting sideline to sideline, situational, would make plays. So I would not be surprised to see D Winters kind of start to get in that role. I know that, Demetrius is in there, or Burks, et cetera. I mean, they have a lot of good linebackers, but I could see D Winters being under that, under Fred and under Trey, learning how to be the linebacker position and being the new Aziz.
Talk about some guys to learn from.
Exactly. Right. Anyone else that stood out for you?
That said, I watched him in the game. He let go.
Yeah.
I can't.
Jair Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what stood out to me.
Actually, I forget, John. There was one more standout that I forgot to mention, and that is your feelings toward Sean Payton, the head coach of the Broncos. I was watching the game with John, and his love for Sean Payton knows no bounds. And yes, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah. So there's two things about Sean Payton. Well, one is maybe our listeners don't know, obviously Tim and Brian know that I ref both basketball and baseball. So I've heard it all. Like, some coaches are good, some coaches are bad. Some coaches are on you. Some coaches just leave you alone. So Sean Payton's an asshole. Like, he treats officials like dirt. He thinks he knows better, etc. That whole pass interference, no call thing was a disaster. That was Sean's idea.
Well, that was you're referring to the. If I just say you're referring to the Saints game in 2019, where there was that no call PI because it was a fake punt.
Right.
Oh,
And then next year they put in the rule where they could review no calls, and it ended up being a disaster, and they removed it the next year. Well, that's how bad it was. And he has man boobs. That's the other thing.
Knew you were going to go there.
Like, I mean, we all gain a little bit of weight in life. I get it. But I mean, dude, wear a different shirt or a vest or something.
I don't want to see your nipples.
Like, yeah, it was just like hanging down. Like, it wasn't that cold, dude. Like, just like you're like 60 something, like dress like it. He just annoys me. And I can tell you right now, he's gonna mess that job up. And he's gonna make Russell try to make Russell like Drew Brees when he's not Drew Brees. And the Walmarts are gonna be like, well, shit, now we gotta raise price on cat food by a nickel because we can't afford Sean Payton anymore. So,
well,
anyway.
luckily we'll go through things we bought at Amazon at the end of this, not Walmart. So we've got
nobody goes to Walmart. I don't go to Walmart.
Well,
but beyond that,
anyway.
So, anybody else stand out, or we'll move on to those who?
I'll just say one thing that did stand out. It was nice to see a 49er win. Yeah, I know it's preseason, but this is the first victory I kind of just smiled about since the Dallas game. So 21-20, it was just good to get a W, even though it's the preseason.
So before we go on to those who didn't look so good, this is an interesting question. Is Jake Moody one that looked good or did not look good?
Go first, Brian. Well,
me that.
Okay, no, I know.
Yeah.
That was a great finish, Brian. Absolutely great finish on my account. How am I feeling about Jake Moody? Well, it's as one columnist put, it's a bit of a roller coaster. And the analogy is that Great America theme park is right next door to Levi's. So, why wouldn't that be a great analogy? So Moody, he hit a couple field goals. He hit the game winner. Neither of whom, which gave me a lot of confidence, particularly the kick at the end. I really was hoping they would just go straight in the middle. It did get in there, but John and I are kind of like going to the right. Give it in. Okay. It made it. But we didn't come away after the game-winning kick like this guy's legit. I will say, actually, John, you made this comment, it was brilliant of Shanahan to give him that game situation. And then I was going to go for the touchdown. At the time, I was surprised he didn't. But John, as I said, you made the comment, hey, when are you get another chance to test this guy in a situation like this? As to the wind, I love Greg Papa, but I just didn't see the wind. I mean, we asked Alexa, we went on weather.com. They said it was like 4 miles an hour. I don't know how accurate that was, but I just saw the guy miss. So take the floor.
So I was watching the game with my brother, and Greg Papa and the other guy,
and they're great guys. Yeah, Tim Ryan.
Yeah, and they're great guys, but they obviously know who's writing the checks, and they're like, "Oh, it's so windy here at Levi's," and we're looking at the flag. It's like
kind of fluttering.
It's kind of fluttering. It's not like it's just kind of fluttering. Yeah. And so we ask, so it's like 2-3 miles. I'm like, I don't think that's the wind. But what I will say is when they brought him out, and we could see that Shanahan was getting to the point where they're going to okay, he's going to try and kick the game winner. This was a really good chance to really see, does the kid have his stuff, or do we have to go and talk to Robbie Gould? And Jake Moody, to his credit, came in and kicked the field goal through the uprights and did it. Hopefully for Jake Moody, that means he gets the idea I can do it in this league, and he gets more confidence, and proves us that it's just learned growing pains in a new league. But yeah, that was a little bit of a hold your breath moment, because if he had missed, it would have been like, oh my God, the Niners have to waste another draft pick on this. We got to bring Robbie Gould back in right now. And
I think Niners Nation put it best. They said, all right, Super Bowl parade is back on.
Yeah, exactly. Never in doubt. So,
so anyway, speaking of the
yeah,
I don't know what you got.
We're going to get to some bad stuff now.
Yeah.
I think Mitch Wisnowski was kind of the top of the list. So, Brian, why don't you be our buzzkill?
It's just, right.
Yeah.
So
he also could have just had a bad game. I don't know if he got injured or not, but yeah, he shanked the first one. The other punts just weren't doing a great job either. He just kind of botched it, and the Broncos ended up getting some decent field position. But the special teams overall, we talk about Jake Moody. Yeah, he hit the game winner, but he also missed an extra point. And the special teams also. I mean, we had. If we go back to Danny Gray, I mean, he gets the kickoff and he gets injured on it. Then Deshaun Jameson, who I really liked from the Raiders game, unfortunately, didn't have a time on special teams either. So I would just say it was just sort of a bad night overall for special teams. But so there's time to fix that, and we'll see if they get it done. But yeah, I think we'll be watching that closely with the Chargers game coming up on Friday.
Yeah, I have to say, I think really the big standout was the special teams just did not look good. The Broncos got a decent amount in terms of punt and kick returns. Wishnowski did not have a good game. Jake Moody missed a, PAT. Deshaun Jameson fumbled the ball. Danny Gray got injured on a kickoff return. It was just like a litany of bad
things. A little bit of a shit show on special teams.
Yeah, exactly. So that one's the one that I'm like, okay, that's the definite downer from that game. That the takeaway, while the Niners played better, crisp offense, defense looked pretty decent. We saw Jake Moody kick a good game winner. But the special teams really need some help, just getting it a little bit crisper, because that depends on field position and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so it was good to see a dub. But let's get to some Niners trivia from Brian.
Let's do this.
And as always, we will answer.
And just let me know the rules ahead of time, because I get so anxious, I kind of jump the gun a little bit. And I've been receiving a lot of complaints from our listeners, actually just the two of you guys, about how I've been conducting myself. So I want to make sure I follow the rules this time.
So as I just said, Tim,
yes,
we will answer after Brian, and then we will go through our Chargers preview.
All right,
and then Brian will tell us the answers.
There you go.
Sounds good.
He went to St. Ignatius in San Francisco, and he went to Oregon.
I agree with John, except he started at Marin Catholic, then went to St. Ignatius.
Really? Wow. What did Larry Gondola do?
I think this was a little, maybe 2 decades before that. So, which broadcaster teammate from Oregon?
Yep.
And is currently a broadcaster. So not a Charger, just somebody at Oregon.
So again,
and he's a
running back.
He's a running back.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I do not know.
He's done
all in NBA.
I'm gonna go completely random. Calvin Hill.
Did he play in the NFL? Let me ask. Can I get another hint?
Yes, he.
Lord. Okay, I'm gonna take a shot in the dark here. James Brooks.
Jesus.
The other 6 players.
No, Tim. Why don't we just go like I'll name one, then you name one.
Right.
So on the Chargers, I think their coach is a Hall of Famer, which is Bobby Ross. Is that was his name? The head coach.
All right. So for a player, I'm going to go Junior Seau.
Okay. Tim, who was the coach for the Chargers?
It was Bobby Ross, although I don't know if he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I'm going to go with Bobby Ross as the coach. All right. So for the Niners, Steve Young,
Mhm.
them,
Deion Sanders,
Jerry Rice.
Bryant Young.
He was just, is it Ricky Jackson?
How many are we up to? We're up to 5, so I got to get the last one.
No, there's 2 more. I don't think George Seifert's in the Hall of Fame.
No, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Um,
So we're talking coaches and we're talking players, right?
yeah. I
Well,
think if there's any.
is not on the coach of the Niners.
There's none of it.
Oh, I would go Eddie DeBartolo.
Ah, good one, John.
So then you got the last one.
This is the
I'm
hardest
looking
one.
for the last one. So Hall of Famer on the Niners in that game. And
Mrs. DeBartolo.
no, it's not her. I'm pretty sure it's not Denise either. Last one. So let's see.
Do you need a hint?
Go hit me. Not after. Well, John already said Ricky Jackson. So let's see. I mean, that was Dennis Brown. There was Bryant Young. There was Richard Dent. I'll go with Richard Dent.
Okay.
All right, what else you got, Brian?
All right. Turn in Los Angeles. What are the states?
Well, Jack Murphy is definitely one of them, and which I've seen them play at, and SoFi Stadium. I don't know where they would have played in the LA, so maybe the Coliseum.
They played at that like Home Depot Center. It's like a soccer stadium in LA.
Oh, that's right.
before SoFi. So there's that one. They may have played one that before Jack Murphy was built, but I couldn't begin to tell you what that one is.
That's right, the soccer stadium.
Was it something like Balboa Memorial Park or something like that? I'll go with Balboa something. Maybe Balboa Exposition Park. I'm probably butchering it if I'm even close.
Yeah, I really forgot about the soccer. It was in Carson, California.
California, yeah.
Because they were close to Long Beach where I went to school.
I just remember when the Raiders would play them. I mean, it was literally like, I think the ratio was 80-20, if that. If we had 20% Chargers fans there. Anyway, I digress. So let's keep moving. All right. Can't wait to see the answers.
So Friday, which is only, about 48 hours from now, the Niners are going to play the Chargers.
At 10 o'clock Eastern. John,
yeah, it's going to be a late one on Friday.
So
for us.
Coffee and scotch?
Sure. Sounds like an awful combination, but so we'll see the first team offense and first team defense in the dress rehearsal. What do we want to see? Tim?
Well, first of all, no injuries. I think, I would play Purdy for, maybe a series, just get him a little bit more, but obviously nothing more than that. I think, right now I was looking forward to a more of a Trey Lance, Sam Darnold battle, but that it looks like that has been pretty much decided. So, I think, maybe seeing Purdy for a little bit and yanking him out of there. At this point, it's just going to be a battle for roster spots. 49ers going to have to get down to the 53-man roster along with their practice squad. So I think let's see what the kids can do. We're talking about Ronnie Bell. We're talking about D. Winters. Maybe we see some folks like Drake Jackson come back. He's apparently coming back from injury there. So, that's going to be it. I think the third preseason game is always kind of a battle of the third and second stringers. So we'll leave it at that.
Brian, anything you want to see?
That's all I wanted.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I just want, if he's doing kick,
yeah, I kind of want to just see a complete game from all three phases, just crisp with offense, defense, and special teams. So we're just not going into week one in Pittsburgh going, I really hope we don't have to depend on, at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really, I just want to see Christmas, see them look like they're ready to go come September 10th, and no injuries. So I would also like to see Nick Bosa signing. So Prague, make it happen. All right. On that note, Brian.
All right.
Tell us some answers.
Remember, you know that stuff, but
because I've told you it several times on this podcast, I don't get out much. I need more friends.
What did you guys say
on this one?
The
I said James.
I said Calvin Hill because I just like, oh, Calvin Hill.
I'm anxious
Calvin
to
Hill.
hear this one.
Oh,
You're
Ahmad Rashad?
kidding.
Ahmad Rashad.
Really?
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
I never would have gotten that.
And Richard Dent, Deion Sanders, Jerry Rice.
Okay.
You got that right? Last.
Oh, yeah.
And Tim, I mentioned him literally to Tim
You did. You
earlier
did.
today.
Yeah.
What was-
we were talking about
What was the
we were
context?
talking about GMs. We were talking about GMs and people looking at the drafting of Trey Lance and how could he made that decision? And John quoted Bobby Breather and said, if I get 30%, and keep me honest here, John, if I get 30% right in the draft, I'm doing an amazing job. So it's just ironic that was one of the trivia questions.
Yep. Good job, Brian.
Last.
Mhm.
So,
Oh my God.
I don't know how.
I'm getting a little worried about myself with these trivia questions, Brian. I don't know what it's called now, but it's the soccer stadium.
Yeah.
That's really imposing.
That's something when I ref baseball games. Oh, I'm going to Dignity Hill Sports
We got
Park.
to play at Dignity? Oh, place is really empowering. You get a lot of dignity. Never mind. I'm not going there. This is a Niner podcast, not a comedy hour. Go ahead, Brian.
And
There you
go. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Stuff we bought on Amazon this week.
Oh,
So I'll start because mine's definitely a little weird. Um,
can't wait.
I was on vacation, and I bought some golf balls because you sometimes tend to lose them on new courses, but I actually played really well, so I now have a plethora of golf balls. We bought some hamster food.
Good.
Because we have a hamster, and the hamster needs to eat apparently. And then now that we're going back to school, we bought some Lilly Pulitzer notebooks. I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, we just had the Mead notebook. Like that was it. Like you just had you got green, red, blue, whatever. Like now it's like I have to have a designer notebook, Lilly Pulitzer. So we got that, and then I got a toilet flush assembly. Because the toilet downstairs is when you flush it goes like I think there's something wrong with it. Like
It sounds like you don't. It sounds like you need a muffler.
Tomorrow I get to do that during the day. Like my lunch hour, what are you doing? I just fix a toilet.
You should be doing that during our next podcast.
I know that it could be either really short or really. How many F-bombs can you have in a podcast?
I don't know, but the ball cock just seems to be coming off. Oh no, you meant the ball game or never mind.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so it's been an interesting Amazon week here at my house. So Brian,
Only because we were.
second week in a row.
Well,
So you were behind. Tim?
Well, I bought Jet Dry Rinse Aid because we got to have those dishes looking shiny. I also bought deodorant and Listerine.
Oh, you got it on both.
I just got them shiny, fresh, and
smell good.
Apparently got some swag to me because that's the flavor. He says,
So really,
yeah.
you don't just
So
go to
I got-
Target. You just order.
No, that would mean getting in the car and driving 5 minutes and looking for what I need and then driving home.
Yeah, that's the thing about. I was really about to say that, Brian. Like, that's the thing about Amazon. Like, I can understand buying Lilly Pulitzer notebooks and toilet assemblies, but it's like, I just don't feel like getting to get deodorant or Jet Dry. You hit that button.
Yeah.
So, anyway, on that note, just want to say shout out to all of our listeners. Thanks for listening to us. If you get a chance, leave us a review, give a comment, send us an email at john@ninerstalk.com. But we're getting close to the beginning of the season. A lot of football coming. College football starts this weekend, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. So let's go Niners. Thank you, Niners Nation, faithful. Niners Talk. And we'll talk to you next week. Go Niners.
Thanks for listening to Niners Talk. Stay faithful.